So I never thought I'd say it, but man, we have some stuff to get to, and it's not about football. It's not about anything. Obviously, it's about Jameson Williams. Obviously, he got suspended. He made that bet, got suspended for it. He paid the price. But when you go as a journalist and you make a comparison from Charles Rodgers to Jameson Williams, there's only two ways that you could say that they are comparable at any stretch of the imagination. One, they were high picks, and they were both wide, and two, they were both wide receivers. That's all you could say about Jameson Williams and Charles Rodgers. The difference between Charles Rodgers and Jameson Williams is pretty concise and pretty clear. Jameson Williams made a legal bet and got hurt his first year. Charles Rodgers was charged with domestic abuse and had a drug problem. Those two things are not the same. And for some journalists who, he works for a pretty good organization. The Free Press is a really good, they're a good organization for news and whatever, but I like Dave Burkett. Love Dave Burkett. I've had him on the podcast before. He's a great guy. But what Carlos Monterrez did, it just right homes about how shitty you have to be to compare someone that has a drug issue, domestic violence, to someone who got hurt and made a legal bet. Now, I know what people are saying. JMO is immature. Yeah, he did like a player that he admired, and Goff really just said, no, it didn't mean anything. He literally just said that a couple days ago. And when you look at Jameson Williams, and yes, he's going to miss the first 6 games, and yes, you would love to have him in Kansas City. The reality is he's not going to be there in Kansas City. And I've been trying to say this for about the last couple weeks is, I really do think that Jameson Williams being out the first 6 weeks could really help the Detroit Lions. And I mean this by this. Jameson Williams is going to miss the first 6 games. Wear and tear in the NFL is abundant. Just by week 8, you'll see the injury reports, and usually there will be a bunch of players on there. And yes, it happens every year to every team, and usually the winner of the Super Bowl is the least injured. That's how it is. So when you can get JMO back, week 7, he has less wear and tear on his body. He's able to make things happen. Obviously, he's a speedy guy. He's going to be ready to go, and you're going to be ready to go. He's had an offseason to get in tune with Goff. And look, you could say a lot of things about JMO, his immaturity, all that stuff, but the reality of the situation is this could help the Detroit Lions because wear and tear is obviously abundant in the NFL. In the meantime, you have enough to get by without JMO. One of the players I'm looking at, I think that could be a really key player is Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield. I look at Sam Laporta, the new rookie. They're not just because they're rookies that we don't know what they are, but when you look at Sam Laporta, he played with an awful quarterback at Iowa, and he made him look good. Jahmyr Gibbs, enough said, he's a fast runner, can catch the ball in the backfield. He's kind of a target that you've needed, and if he could be anything like DeAndre Swift but stay healthy, you're golden. So when Jameson Williams gets back, you look at Sam Laporta, you look at Jahmyr Gibbs, they're going to get 6 games of experience, get themselves in the fold, and then you bring Jameson Williams back. And I really think that could really just spearhead the team into the next level. Look, what Carlos Monterrez did in that article was total bullshit. And if we're going to be honest, it was absolutely just disgusting to see. But when I hear people say that Jameson Williams, he's a bust or anything, yeah, he missed the first year. Okay, he missed the first year, but that doesn't mean you're a bust. You really find out if a player is a bust by year 2, year 3, year 4. That's when you find out if they're a bust. A lot of times, you could have a hot rookie, right? Like James Houston had, all those sacks last year. If he doesn't improve and he just kind of, falls off the wayside, you can't really say, oh, he was great that 1 year. He's great that 1 year. It's a collective kind of look. You're going to look at Jameson Williams and you're going to look at his whole body of work at the end of his contract and decide, are we going to give him that fifth-year option, or are we not going to give him that fifth-year option? Because obviously he's a first-round pick, so you'll give him that fifth-year option. But I look at Jameson Williams. I don't look at him as a bust right now. Not in the very least. I think that he is going to be very good for this team moving forward. And I think the Detroit Lions will be better because Jameson Williams isn't in the lineup the first 6 weeks, because I think after those first 6 weeks, you have 11 weeks left in the season. Obviously, there's a bye week, but you have time to get better. And you look at Sam Laporta, you look at Jahmyr Gibbs, you look at David Montgomery. One of them is gonna pop off. And then when you bring J-Mo into the fold, it could help this team, improve and go into the next level of what they're expecting to be. So, with that being said, like I didn't want to take time out of my day to record a video about Jameson Williams and the Carlos Monterrez article, but I feel like that was such a bullshit looking article that compared just when you compare Charles Rodgers to Jameson Williams, there's two things that they have in common. They're a wide receiver and they're picked high. That's it. That is it. Now, at the end of the 4 years of the contract of Jameson Williams, and obviously if he doesn't do anything, then you can make the decision. You could be like, okay, this didn't work, and why didn't it work? And look, this is the first time in the Lions history that they have confidence in their general manager, their coach, and the way that they develop. And you look at the way that they have developed the young guys, they're heading in the right direction. So I don't look at Jameson Williams and this whole 6-game suspension as a death sentence for his career. I mean, obviously, if you just look at it realistically, he will be better for this than it looks right now. And I think that moving forward, I think you're going to see him make some big things happen for the Detroit Lions. And he's obviously got the talent. It's just about, can you get your headspace to that level of thinking professionally? And that's what's going to help him move forward. What do you think below? Do you think Jameson Williams is a bust? Let me know in the comments. I'll kind of debate with you if you think he's a bust. But we will talk in the next video. This is Joe Chap, Between the Whistles Detroit.